Hi, my name's Sarah Sedgwick. I'm from Derbyshire in the United Kingdom, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story and how I have been free to change. I was brought up in a Christian home. I went to church every Sunday. I never connected with God as a youngster for a number of reasons. My parents were in a volatile relationship, and what I was witnessing at home differed very much from what I was seeing and hearing at church. And I never really thought that Christianity or following God was for me, because I didn't see the difference that that really would make in people's lives. As a teenager, I was really sporty, absolutely loved any sport. Consequently, I was playing for adult teams quite young, and I was beginning to witness women in same-sex relationships, lesbians who were playing those sports, and I was kind of drawn towards that lifestyle and started to feel, while my friends were experiencing attraction towards boys, that I was really experiencing attraction towards girls. That was tough. And as a teenager, when I moved away to university, my church life and upbringing was pretty much left behind as I pursued my dream at that time, which was to have relationships, to enjoy myself. You know, it was quite materialistic. I wanted a good job. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to really just to have fun. So ultimately, I had a number of relationships, some of which were not very healthy. My first real relationship was with an older woman who was physically abusive towards me, and from that I really lost a lot of my self-worth, and I became bulimic, which was a form of self-harm. I'd self-harmed as a child, and it just turned into a different focus, and over the years, you know, self-harm continued to be a little bit of a picture within my life. I was not satisfied or fulfilled within the lifestyle I was living. I had numerous jobs, good jobs, and I travelled around the country with those jobs, and I always thought that it was the job, the pressure of work, that was making me struggle, that I couldn't get satisfied or happy. I'd always put it down to that, but ultimately I was made redundant, and I bought a share in a sandwich shop, and I was working in this sandwich shop, thinking there's no more pressures of big corporations, so I will be fine. But the pressures continued, albeit in a different way. But I wasn't pursuing God. I wasn't looking for him. And one day he really called me via a radio station. I just flicked the channel, and there was a song on that I'd heard as a youth, and that's how God started to really actively pursue me. Over a period of time, I listened to that radio station, and I started hearing all about these people whose lives had changed. God had really impacted them and had offered them something new. I could see that through accepting him in their lives, that they were changed and they were different. 6 months of this, really, listening to the radio, and I felt like I really wanted to go to church. So I went into a church. Now, bearing in mind at that stage, I was very clearly, I would say very clearly gay. I had almost a skinhead, bleached blonde hair, and I walked into that church, but I was loved. Nobody challenged me, nobody took me to one side, which was my fear. And over a period of time, I got to know people, and they were just loving and supportive towards me, and their best for me was to come to know the Lord. My sexuality was never challenged. So over a period of time, I became part of that church, and in February 2015, I listened to a sermon which really convicted me that I wanted to give my life to the Lord. All that time, I had been on my own, looking at what the world had to say. I've been looking at websites, I've been looking at YouTube videos, I've been looking at books. What does the world say about being gay and being a Christian? It was a really lonely struggle, and it was a really difficult struggle, because I was looking, and wherever I looked, I could see one side saying one thing, another side saying another thing. But on that Sunday, God convicted me that I needed to ask him and no one else. And over that week, that was what I did. I asked him, and I became convicted that my life would be so much better if I was obedient to God's word. And I therefore chose to give my life to the Lord and to turn my back on the sexual relationship that I had with my long-term partner. So I gave my life to the Lord. It was a very difficult time for me. I was still living with my partner. We had real issues in terms of her anger towards me, which is fully understandable. My trying to come to terms with the fact that my life had changed and what that looked like. And whilst a great weight had gone from me and a great joy had filled me, I also now was presented with a number of different issues and different struggles that I had to work through. My self-harming escalated. I was not coping very well, and my minister, who had prayed with me, suggested that I found a Christian counsellor and started to work through some of my issues. That's exactly what I did. I found an amazing Christian counsellor who never once judged me, who never once directed me or told me what I should do, who listened to me as I wrestled with my faith, as I wrestled with my relationship. And then as time went on, as I started to process some of the things in my childhood that had, put me off men, some of the things in my childhood that had caused me to self-harm and to be fearful. And it was really powerful in terms of it just helped me to come to that place of rest in, this is who I am, this is how I got there, and this is who God sees and loves. And it was incredible to have that support. Throughout that time also, I had prayer support from a ladies' prayer group that I joined through my church, a wonderful group of women who prayed with me and for me. They prayed for me to be able to find my feet as a new Christian. They weren't specific prayers about my same-sex attraction. They were like prayers for any new Christian, that God would nurture me, that God would walk with me, and that I would grow and blossom in my faith. And that's exactly what I feel I have done. A couple of years ago, I felt God really calling me into ministry to help other people who are struggling with the same thing as me, not to tell them what to do, but to walk alongside them, to bless them, to help them to work through all the different things that they see in the world, which was what I did on my own. Making sense of what God says, making sense of what the world says, and then choosing which way to go. But you know what? They are free to change, and they are free to stay in the lifestyle. There is no pressure. But they have to have that opportunity, as I did, to explore, to be able to access material that shows them both sides of the argument, because there are two sides to every argument, but if you only present it with one side, you cannot make an informed decision. So my belief for Transform Ministries, which is the ministry I now run, is that we are that catalyst for allowing people to really explore and to meet with God and to seek what He has to say for their lives. We walk alongside people, we hold their hands, and we love them regardless of the decisions they finally make. So that's my story. I would appeal to anybody who is in any way involved with lawmaking to listen to the stories of those who have freely changed, who have freely chosen to leave same-sex attraction behind, because it is not what they've chosen for themselves, it's not what they want, and to allow them to explore freely what they want to do and what they're happy with and what satisfies them. Thank you.